What I saw today was disgusting. I saw an opposing attorney wink at the judge. I saw a judge tell the entire courtroom there was evidence of assault. We saw no evidence of assault in that courtroom today.
No evidence? How could that possibly be? The man didn't even get a chance to say his part. It was predetermined. Absolutely.
They advised Mr. Weigel not to testify because of his pending criminal charges. They neglected to mention hers to try to make it appear one-sided.
According to the Connecticut judiciary records and reporting based on them, Weigel is facing criminal charges arising from the January 15, 2026 incident at his New Canaan residence. Those charges include at least third-degree assault and disorderly conduct, brought by the Office of the State's Attorney for the Stamford-Norwalk Judicial District. The official docket reportedly lists an arrest date of January 15, 2026.
The underlying allegation is that during a confrontation with Alvarez, who came to his home upset about their teens allegedly buying alcohol while underage, Weigel assaulted her, leading police to issue a summons. According to the released police report, Weigel, by contrast, says he only tried to keep her from entering his home and was never arrested or served with any summons.
The judge told Dave on 3 separate occasions how he was arrested, which Dave had to correct him every single time, which I can only assume it was the judge painting a picture to have it put on record. Because when you constantly tell him, please look at the police report, there was no arrest, Your Honor.
But why would Dave be charged with anything at all? Especially when the police themselves note in their report that they observed Christmas wreath leaves scattered all over the floor and outside the front door, precisely matching Dave's description of what happened at the scene. That single fact matters because it shows that the only version of events that actually aligns with the physical evidence is Dave's, not his accusers.
Zawali stated that Juvenile 1 and Juvenile 2 had obtained alcohol in Stamford, and that she drove with Juvenile 1, her husband Carlos Alvarez, and their daughter to retrieve the alcohol. She stated that she and Juvenile 1 approached the door while Carlos remained in the car. Upon telling David the reason for their visit, Zawali stated that David threw money at her face. She alleged that David struck her, shoved her, and grabbed her by the neck in an attempt to throw her over the balcony. She stated that he then threw her to the ground and began kicking her and attempting to smash her head against the ground. She stated that Carlos then intervened and separated them. I observed visible red marks on the right side of Zawali's neck and red marks on her lower right shin. Zawali provided a voluntary written statement describing the incident. Zawali declined. EMS.
Notice how nothing in Zawali's version of the events that took place at the Weigel home that evening explains how that Christmas wreath got destroyed. Now let's take a look at David's version.
David stated that Juvenile 1 is friends with Juvenile 2. David explained that Juvenile 1 allegedly purchased alcohol for Juvenile 2's birthday, and that Zawali came to his residence demanding the alcohol be returned. He stated that he told her to leave the premises and attempted to close the front door, but Zawali prevented the door from shutting by placing her foot in the doorway. David stated he then threw money at her in an attempt to defuse the situation and get her to leave, but she continued to hold the door open and push against both him and the door. I observed Christmas wreath leaves scattered both inside and outside the front door, and cash on the ground outside the doorway. David denied ever striking or physically assaulting Zawali, stating that the only physical contact occurred while he was attempting to shut the door. He also denied any knowledge of the alcohol. David provided a voluntary written statement consistent with his account.
When law enforcement's own observations corroborate the accused rather than the complaining witness, it raises a fundamental question about why criminal charges were ever brought in the first place and whether this prosecution is being driven by evidence or by something else entirely.
Aside from the obvious fact that no charges should have been brought against Dave Weigel in the first place, this case now turns on something even more disturbing: the deliberate creation of false records by public officials in Stamford, Connecticut. These are not simple clerical errors. They are entries in police logs, court dockets, and government files that describe arrests, lawyers, and proceedings that did not happen the way the paperwork claims, leaving us asking how public servants gain the power to rewrite reality on paper and what it means for every person who steps into the Stamford, Connecticut legal system.
Creating false records, federal felony. Let's go over the meat of this, the real potatoes, okay, the ironclad evidence. The ironclad evidence. I was accused, it's in the paperwork, I'm going to show you. that I was arrested on the 15th, and then I was also arrested on January 20th at Stamford Courthouse for violation of a restraining order that was not put in place until February 2nd. I was arrested on January 20th for a restraining order that was put in place in the future. These people put this in writing. I left on January 18th to go to Kentucky to help Cindy Adams in her case and fight off the disgusting family terrorists in that courthouse. Expedia, January 18th, text message. Yep, my flight's leaving soon. Okay, here's the actual itinerary. Here's the actual, it can be proven whether or not you're on a flight. That's pretty definable reasons, pretty definable facts to get. Okay, I was originally scheduled to come home on the 24th, but I postponed it and stayed till the 27th. We're going to make sure all of this gets on record. Originally scheduled to be coming home on the 27th and 24th, and I extended it to the 27th. January 27th, text message. So what happened between the 18th and the 27th? Well, in Connecticut, there must be a magician there, because not only does the record say that I was arrested on January 15th, it says I was arrested on January 20th. Arrested. How can I be arrested when I'm 1,000 miles away? Because I didn't, because it's fraud and it's a federal felony. That Police Chief John DeFederico will be going to the federal penitentiary for.
They told nothing but lies, but they wrote it up.